Welcome to the meeting for the Teton Science School trip for 8th grade students at Scholar Academy. In the year March 2025 is when the trip will be. The point of this presentation is to give you an idea what it'll be like, tell you the plan for doing it, what you'll need to bring, how much it costs, and all the information hopefully that'll help you decide whether you want to participate or not.
We have been coming to Teton Science School for 14 years, and in total, we've brought over 2,500 students, plus additional hundreds of staff members to the campus. I'm a big proponent of getting kids outside. I really don't care what they do outside. I just want them to enjoy it and see the impact that they can make. It seems like a science trip, but it's a 50% science trip, and the other 50% is leadership and responsibility. We don't have glaciers in Missouri, but it's about the process of teaching about glaciers and how they shape the land. It's about how the field instructors go through team building exercises, and all of a sudden you have most of the people that may not have known each other, they come together as one family, and now they're problem solving. They're doing research projects and presentations on their research here that I take back to our school district and take pictures of their posters like, this is what our high school kids are doing back at school, and now we're having sixth graders do it here.
Getting out of the classroom and like being able to see, getting to experiment and work with your surroundings, and it opened my eyes to like what's really out there and how small I am. There's a lot of kids who come out here and they've never seen mountains or never seen like animals, like a bear or anything, and it's cool to always see the reactions to seeing the Tetons for the first time.
We come on this trip every year not only to impact the kids, the 400 kids that come to the Teton Science School every year, we also want those teachers to gain all the knowledge and all the enthusiasm that takes place with the field instructors here and take that back home. We have a school district of 20,000 students, and we don't want it to just impact 400 kids. We want it to impact 20,000 kids. This is what it all comes down to.
Teton Science School is in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It's 2 miles from the actual town of Jackson Hole, and 307 miles from Scholar Academy, which equates to 5 hours and 11 minutes. Last year, with a storm on the way home, they did have to reroute to the 5 hour and 20-minute one, but just so you know, that's about how far it is. All right, the dates for the trip are March 17th through the 21st. We leave on a Monday and return on a Friday. It's 5 days. The students need to bring a sack lunch on the trip there and snacks for the ride. They'll be back around 5 o'clock on the way back. Generally, we've returned a little bit earlier, sometimes even an hour earlier. When the bus is about an hour away, we will let the school know. Yeah. Here's some pictures from the past where we've gone. This one we saw a moose as we were up there. Kind of gives you a view of what it looks like.
I think he's turning this way.
Yeah, he is posing.
Oh, absolutely. Here, let me move out of your way. You need to get.
So some of the wildlife out there is pretty fun, and they get some real up close and personal experiences. This shows a few pictures, one of the ropes course that the students are able to go through, as well as one of the evening presentations where the students come up with stuff that they've learned from their research throughout the program. This case, they did kind of a Jeopardy Family Feud type program.
You have to use your non-dominant hand. Oh my god. You have to put your dominant hand behind you.
Each morning, the students will participate in group activities to get started before they go out into the field. And in this one, you can see them working on a team balancing activity on the giant board, as well as just playing a few fun games as a group getting started.
Because you taught me.
Stop it.
Ooh, that was a good idea.
Landon, do it gently like how I'm doing it.
Do a triangle so it like.
Tilt yours down, Gunner. More.
Okay, Jaden, do not sell.
Dude,
Jaden, do
I'm
not
not gonna
sell.
sell. I've never sold in my life.
Jaden. Yeah!
This is a nice group of pictures to show some observing of animals, learning how to read maps and topographical maps, as well as just hanging out in their dorms on some off time. Couple cool things going on in this one. We've got on the left just some students, a lot of free time, time to hang out with their friends, play board games, guitar. And then on the right shows one of the rooms where all the supplies are and the students getting fitted for their cross-country skis in the morning. This is the same room. They did the same with snowshoeing. And also if the students aren't able to bring their own snow pants, gloves, hats, but also a lot of that stuff is not guaranteed to fit, but there are a lot of supplies in this area. Depends on the weather, what it's going to look like, whether there'll be snowshoeing or cross-country skiing. But each trip's a little bit unique in that sense. Students are doing a few games, crack the code, building team activities at nighttime.
Tree.
All right, as of right now, because of the number of students that are going, Teton Science School allows one adult for about every 12 students. Depending on how many we have, and usually we do have more boys than girls sign up, they're asking that we have 3 male chaperones as well as 2 female. Depending on the numbers, once again, we're on the borderline. If we have 40, it would only be 2 male and 2 female. Either way, at this point, we're not sure if Mr. Hall or Mr. Nick Kempen is going, but we do know Mr. Mendoza will be there. Miss Lamelli and Miss Rollins has volunteered this year. Kind of a fun group. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's talk about the dorms. A lot of your students, this is their first time away. We want you to know that the dorms themselves are very comfortable. The floors are heated, which means the heating of the whole building goes through the floor through pipes. Most rooms for the dorms have 5 beds, 4 to 5 beds, and with that 4 to 5 beds, that group shares 1 restroom and 1 shower unit. So we also have a lounge area that's assigned to us as a school where students can go sit in the couches, lots of board games and places where they can sit and visit. All right, let's get to the nitty gritty. So here's an example of what happens each day. So the first day, students arrive on Monday. They're traveling most of the day. When they do get there, they have dinner, they learn about their dorms and where to put stuff, and then eventually have an evening program, lights out, and then the next day they really begin what they're going to be doing for the next 3 days. So they wake up, they have breakfast, they pack a lunch at breakfast because they're going to be out in the field. Um, Pretty much that means a lot of them will go in a bus and drive to the Tetons for their field work. A lot of what they do in that field work depends on the group. So it's really kind of a neat experience where the leaders of that group will customize the experience for the group. So, for example, the 12 students in a group may express that they're very interested in studying animals. Another group of 12 students may express that they like studying the landscape. Well, the leader will kind of customize their experience at the Teton Science School on that. The group I was with really enjoyed animals, and we went snowshoeing, observing some of the animals, taking notes on it. The next day, we took binoculars and went and observed how many times they stopped to eat versus how much movement they had and kind of graphed that. And then eventually, presented that for the other groups. So while another group studied the depth of the snowpack, and they did several digs and then measured the depth of the snow while recording also the temperature and learned a totally different thing. So when we talk about them in the field groups will actually learn very differently depending on the interests of the kids. So from 9 o'clock until they return at 4 o'clock, they're out in the field. They have their lunch while they're out there in that time. Okay, then they return back. They'll have dinner. They have an evening program. They do get some free time to be with friends. They actually have pretty good amounts of time. And then they return back to their rooms and lights out at 9:45. And then the next day they repeat. So they'll have breakfast, um, pack their lunch for the next day. Then they'll go out in the field, do some science and study, hiking, and then come back again around 5:30, have their programs, and then do that again the third day. The last day they kind of have a final presentation where they pack and then clean up their dorms, and then they head back to Tooele. So that kind of gives you a general outline of what it looks like there. There's plenty of time for spending with friends. The hikes are not too difficult, and we'll get into that here in a minute. Here's a quick overview of what the dorms look like. This doesn't mean that that's exactly what they'll be like, but this is our experience in the past. You'll notice that down here, the boys' dorms, these rooms is where they had the 5 beds, the 2 sets of bunk beds, and then one floor bed. And attached, they had the bathroom and the shower area. Um, Last year, the first year the girls had dorms just like this, but last year it was a little different where the girls each had rooms with the bunks and the beds, but then across the hall they had restrooms with showers and the restroom as well. But either way, they do a great job at giving you privacy, but also giving you lots of options while you're there. All right, the expectations. If you're sending your students, we want you to be aware that we expect them to be on their best behavior. If anything does happen that results in an unsafe situation and your student is responsible, they will be required to go home. And in that case, you as the parent are required to come and get them. We only like to tell you this because we want you to be aware. Give that some consideration when sending them to make sure that they understand they must be on their best behavior. Otherwise, you would have to come and get them. All right, here's the heartbreak. No cell phones on the trip. They can bring them with them and use them on the trip, on the bus trip up there, but during the time up there at the Tetons, they're stored away, and then they'll receive them on the trip back on the bus. The reason they do this is the Teton Science School has said they want the students to have a distraction-free trip. So they won't be able to use their devices during that time. Now, as far as contacting us, the teachers all will have cell phones. And in all honesty, a lot of these kids being their very first trip away, they get homesick. And we have never denied a student a chance to be able to talk to their parents. So we always will accommodate that. There are some students who do not want to talk or call, and that's fine as well. So you do have some opportunities to talk to them if you need to, but the truth is no news is good news. If you're not hearing anything, then your student's doing fine. Thanks. All right, gear. We're not going to go super specific into this till the next meeting, which is closer to the actual one. But in general, the weather up there is unpredictable, so we have students plan on bringing very warm clothes. We do request snow pants, snow coat, gloves, and a beanie. The school itself does have those items if they forget, but the idea that we can't guarantee how well they will fit if they get them from the school is the idea behind that. So start thinking ahead about getting some of those things. A lot of parents like to get them for Christmas for the kids, planning up, but truthfully, it's up to you how that happens. But keep in mind, there also is the chance if they do forget something, there's a way to help them out there up the school. All right. A lot of questions the students have is like, how are the hikes? Are they super hard? What's it like up there? And the answer is the hikes are mellow with lots of breaks. There might be little strenuous stretches. We don't want you to make you think that it's not difficult, but the truth is they will not push these kids to the point of exhaustion. And in fact, they give them so many breaks. It actually is very, very nice. While on the hikes, one of the concerns is how to use the restroom if you're out in the field all day. But the staff does an amazing job of keeping the kids comfortable and making sure that they are easy to get through those difficult situations. So they actually have code words: chase the coyote and chase the bear. If you have to go number one, you'll tell the staff member, hey, I got to go chase a coyote. And if you got a number two, you'd say, hey, I got to go chase the bear. And they are able to strategically find ways for you to be able to pull away from the group while they're all distracted, and they have that help them be discreet and also feel comfortable in that situation. I've never had a student who's come back and gone, oh my gosh, that was difficult. So just rest your mind at ease. They have that very well taken care of. You do travel on buses in and out of the Teton National Park quite frequently. They're little buses, but they do a good job at customizing that to the kids. There is a gift shop as well, and they can bring money. Things they can buy there are sometimes t-shirts, hoodies, magnets, and a few other things. In the lounge area and with their free time, we do allow students, if they want to bring cards or a small board game, they are welcome to do that. And there's a good chance they'll be able to do that while they have some recreational time. All right, so we're going to review some of the main things you're going to need to know about clothing and equipment. In this one, we're going to be all right, on these trips, safety is key. One of the requirements is that students are within eye shot or earshot of the Tooele Science School staff at all times, as well as the scholar staff. On hikes, they will be with the staff who have direct communication with the field office. So if there's an emergency, they are within the 2 mile radius and are able to get people out real quick. So just so you can rest at ease that there's not going to be a time where there's no communication. They always have communication while out in the field. If one of your concerns is medication, your child's on a medication, it actually is very easy to take care of. When the time comes, you will let me, Mr. Hall, or Mr. Brandon in the front office know. We store those medications in a lockbox. We do ask that you give us some directions on where those are given and what times those are given, and then we'll make sure that they are given to your student either in the morning, while out on the field, or at night, and take care of that. We have had students who've had many medications that have been able to do and have had no problems. But if you do have a concern, please feel free to let us know, and we'll take care of that for you. This is a number that you are able to call if there is an emergency. We do realize it's once in a while there is the type of emergency you'd have to get in contact with your child, and this is that number. But we also do say that if you contact the front office of the school or Miss Gailey, that actually would be just as fast because all the teachers do have access to their cell phones while up there.
I'm sorry, this is an old recording, but Mr. Hall and Miss Tigner would be the ones you're going to talk to. And we do have direct communication with the office. Okay.
All right, we do share the
All right, we share the Tetons with another school. They'll be there, but they don't share activities like in their day hikes. They will not be with that other school. They do share the lunch cafeteria room is all, but there is a need for being courtesy and respectful for other groups. Last time there were some students that played basketball with the other team as well. All right, let's talk money. The cost for the trip is about $400 per student. That is due March 1st. You can pay in the front office with cash. A check that's made out to Scholar Academy is an option, and we also have an online option. This does have additional fees, and we're working on it. It's kind of new, so that one's a little bit more tricky, but just so you know, you can do those other ones. Options really are three different paths. You can either pay it all up front, as long as that payment's by March 1st, three different payments. We just broke it down into three different ones, the last one being March 1st, and then two payments, and really that second one, February 15th, really should just be March 1st. So ultimately we're saying by March 1st. One question we had at the meeting was, can I get my money back if my student decides not to? And the answer, of course, is yes, up until March 1st. Once that happens, the money's kind of locked in, and we've got our final details, staff assigned, etc. If there's a possibility you need a scholarship, say your student's not able to make the full amount payment, you can set up a meeting with Mr. Hall in the front office by calling the front office. We'll have a quick meeting. It does have the option for your student to do some service around the school, and we can talk about that. But just so you're aware, if that does happen, it would be, you know, almost a month's worth of service. We give them a task and they do that. Okay. Just so everyone's aware, we only do have 41 spots available. We would like to know your intent to come at least by January 8th so we can plan accordingly. But there is no way to do more than that 41. If we reach that, unfortunately, students will have to be turned away. The $400 cost is supplemented by our trust lands, so the actual cost for your student is about $680. The school's already paying $280, so there are only a few scholarships available. We can do some, we'll set it up, but just so you're aware, we're going to try and get as many kids there as possible. Last question that seems to be the biggest question is, do students have to make up work while they're gone for that week? And the answer, of course, is no. That week will count as their total and complete work for that time. So pretty much anything they do on that trip, they won't have any extra math, science, or other classes. The school that's, or the students that stay behind, the junior high does organize their classes slightly different that week, and they get some fun learning opportunities, but that's pretty much how it goes. All right, if you do have any questions, we're still in the early phase, so if you have anything, please let us know. We got a long ways. We'll have another meeting for registration later, getting closer to March, and we'll break down the gear and other stuff that you'll need to know at that time and review some of this stuff. So thanks for your time. Hope you are excited.